Welcome back. Today, let us learn about relative clauses. First of all, let us see what is clause. Clause is a sentence which consists of a subject and verb. Example: She lives in a house which is very big. In this sentence, we have two clauses: independent clause and dependent clause. Main principal clause or subordinate clause. She lives in a house is giving full meaning and giving a full sense, so it is called independent clause. Whereas which is very big needs to depend on other sentence to get full sense, so it is called as dependent clause. And here relative pronouns. To combine a relative clause to the main clause, we need these pronouns: which, who, whom, that. Which is used for things and objects. Who, whom is used for people. That is used for both things and people. Relative adverbs also relate some information to the main class: when, where, why. Examples: He met an interesting person. He lives in USA. To combine these two sentences, he met an interesting person who lives in USA or that lives in USA. I read a book. It was written on yoga. These two sentences will be connected like this: I read a book which or that was written on yoga. I saw the lawyer. She handed over the case to him. I saw the lawyer whom she handed over the case. So like this, by using relative pronouns, we can connect relative clause to the noun it is talking about. For example, if you see the first example, he met an interesting person. So here, who lives in USA is a relative clause giving information about the person. So like that, the relative clause should come beside the noun it is modifying. So in our textbook, we are prescribed this grammar topic: defining and non-defining relative clauses. Let us see what is defining. Defining clause speaks about the noun to give clarity about it. For example, the teacher is a great poet. He taught me English. So both informations are about one person, the teacher. Here he also stands for the teacher. So we can combine this sentence like this: the teacher who taught me English is a great poet. So here the next sentence, he taught me English, becomes a relative clause. Here you can see who taught me English. In the place of he, we joined who there. The teacher is a great poet is a principal clause, main clause. Who taught me English is a subordinate clause or dependent clause. So like this, we have to take the relative clause near to the subject noun it is speaking about. So here the teacher, we are telling about the teacher. So who taught me English was brought near to the teacher. Next sentence: the car is so luxurious, I hired it. You can combine like this: the car which I hired is so luxurious. So in the place of it, we have used relative pronoun which. The car which I hired is so luxurious. So here we are talking about the car. So that's why which I hired relative clause came adjacent to the car. Let us see non-defining relative clause. It adds extra information to the noun to emphasize it. The clause is separated by a comma or a hyphen. So in the defining clauses there is no comma or hyphen. You can see this. So there is no comma or hyphen between the teacher and who taught me English. There is no comma. And the car which I hired, there is no comma. So the teacher, here giving a definition for the teacher. Who is that teacher? The car. Which car? So we have given some definition to that. But here in non-defining relative clause just adds extra information to the noun. You can see Naresh, who works in police department, is my friend. For example, you just close this relative clause who works in police department, the comma which is separated by commas. You just close it and read the remaining sentence, underlined sentence. Naresh is my friend. So it's enough, sufficient enough to give you full sense. Naresh is my friend. But here I would like to add extra information to Naresh. So that's why I have used who works in police department, the clause, relative clause. So here it's giving extra information to Naresh. So like that, when it gives extra information, not to define the noun, it is called non-defining relative clause. Defining, in the name itself you have meaning. Define. If it defines the noun, defining clause. If only adds extra information instead defining, it is called non-defining relative clause. Here you can see Naresh is my best friend. He works in police department. Two sentences are combined like this, above sentence. So one more sentence. Taj Mahal is a masterpiece. Underlined sentence. Taj Mahal is a masterpiece. Which relative clause is added there? Taj Mahal, which is built by Shah Jahan, is a masterpiece. Separated by commas and once again. So I am giving extra information about Taj Mahal. So these are non-defining relative clauses. Simple technique to identify this is name. You will get a name, perfect name in the subject place and separated by comma or hyphen. Right. Now look at textbook examples. For defining clause we have this. The woman who taught him surfing had been bitten by a shark. Here the woman. Who is that woman? We need to get definition for the woman. So who woman? Which woman? Who taught him surfing? So here defining. Next, the woman had been bitten by a shark. She taught him surfing. These two sentences combined like the above sentence. Now let us see non-defining clause. Nick, who was teased and bullied, had an electric wheelchair for mobility. So already without this blue color relative clause, we are getting full sense. Nick had an electric wheelchair for mobility. So up to that it is principal clause. Okay, Nick, we got clarity about the noun, but giving extra information about Nick, who was teased and bullied. So these are the examples for relative adverbs. Thank you. You have to do this worksheet.